Right, so Jill is now going to introduce us to hair and nails.
So I'm going to talk to you about hair and nails as an extension to bone and the skeleton. We've all probably experienced a bad hair day before, and I think we can sympathise with patients that may come to us who have thinning hair or are losing their hair, or whose hair has gone dry and brittle. And it's the same with nails. I mean, how many times have you heard people say, oh, don't look at my nails, they're terrible. If we can give them something to help with their hair or nails, they'll be really appreciative. So it can be very traumatising, as I said, to have a bad hair day. And this little girl illustrates it beautifully. So just to look at the similarities between hair and nails, because there are lots of things that are the same about both of the structures. They're both dead. The living part is beneath the surface of the skin. And they're both composed of keratin. Different types of keratin, but basically it's keratin. They're both reliant on the balance of hormones, as Chris has talked about hormones in terms of the bone. It's very important for hair and nails as well. And they do require similar nutritional requirements. They're susceptible to toxins, so Chris has been talking about the toxins and pesticides and things. And they do reflect our general state of health. And unfortunately, they're not a priority for the body. So if something's going on within your body will utilise the nutrients to work on the inside, so your hair and nails will probably suffer. So hair conditions that people complain of are hair loss, thinning hair, losing their hair, dry or brittle hair, and dandruff and greasy hair. So just to look quickly at the composition of hair, we've got the hair follicle, which is beneath the skin, and this maintains the stem cells from which the new hair grows. And the hair that you see is the shaft, and that's the hard filamentous part of the hair. And the hair has a cross-section of 3 zones. So there you see the follicle beneath the skin and the shaft sticking out. So the cuticle is the outer layer, and this has several layers of thin overlapping cells, a bit like roof tiles. And the cortex is where the keratin is contained in the cortex. And inside there's a medulla, which is a disorganized and open area at the center of the hair. The cortex is where we get the strength from for the hair. It provides the mechanical strength and the water uptake. The cortex as well contains the melanin, which gives the colour of the hair. And the colour of the hair depends on the different types of melanin and the amount you have of each type of melanin. So there are 2 types of melanin. There's eumelanin. Well, actually, there's 2 types of eumelanin as well. The eumelanin, there's a brown and a black one, and that determines the darkness of the hair. And the pheomelanin is the other type, which gives the red colour to the hair. So everyone's hair is a combination of these different types of melanin. So blonde hair, for example, would be a very low concentration of the brown melanin, and then black hair would be high black melanin. And grey hair, unfortunately, is a loss of all melanin. So where's melanin made? Well, it's in the tyrosine pathway. You can see there from tyrosine down to L-DOPA. And then via the tyrosinase enzyme off to the side, which is a copper-dependent enzyme and uses vitamin C, you then get dopaquinone. And from dopaquinone, we then go on to make the different types of melanin. So the cuticle, as I said, is the outer covering, and this is covered with a single molecular layer of lipid that makes the hair repel water. And there's glands at the opening of the hair follicle which produce a fatty secretion which conditions your hair and prevents it from drying out. So how does hair grow? Well, there's 3 phases of hair growth, and the first one is the anagen phase, and this is the active growth phase of the hair follicle. So the root of the hair is dividing rapidly and adding to the length of the hair shaft. Incidentally, hair grows about 1 centimetre a month. So different type of hair has different type of hair growth. So scalp hair has 2 to 7 years in this growth phase, so that's why you can get a long growth of hair on the head. And then there's some unknown signal which transforms the hair follicle into the next phase, the catagen phase. This is a short transitional stage, and it signals the end of the active growth of the hair. It lasts for about 2 to 3 weeks while the hair develops it's called a club hair. It's when the bit of the hair follicle attaches to the base of the hair shaft. Because when you shed a hair, you notice at the end there's a kind of bulb bit at the bottom, and that's a bit of the hair follicle. So during this process, the hair follicle is cut off from its blood supply, so it can't grow anymore. And this takes about 2 weeks. And then you have the resting phase of the hair growth. This is called the telogen phase. And we all know that people who undergo extreme stress can start to lose their hair. And this is when the telogen phase becomes extended, so they have a prolonged resting period. And this is called the telogen effluvium, that's the condition. So the club hair is the final product of this phase, and we shed about 50 to 100 hairs a day. So as I said, there's different hair growth cycles for different types of hair. So scalp hair has a very long growth phase, 2 to 6 years, and then the transitional phase of 2 to 3 weeks, and a resting phase of 3 months. Now eyebrows have a different cycle, and they have a growth phase of only 4 to 7 months. So usually your eyebrows don't grow as long as your hair. Although if they do, then obviously your cycle's out of sync and you need one of those grooming tools that, male grooming tools, what is it, nasal, ear and eyebrow cutter. So the telogen phase, the resting phase for eyebrows is longer, so it's 9 months. So the cause of hair problems really is very similar to the cause of a lot of our health problems. Hormonal changes, toxicity and nutritional deficiency. It's the same old three really. Let's look at the hormones that affect hair growth. Well, there's dihydrotestosterone. This is responsible for the male pattern baldness, for the hair loss. And this happens when testosterone combines with the enzyme 5-alpha reductase, and this forms DHT. And the DHT affects the hair follicles by attaching itself to special cells which affect the growth cycle that I've talked about. So it affects the growth cycle by reducing that growth phase, the first anagen phase, and it increases the length of time of the resting phase. So your hair is shed as normal, but you don't get the new hair growing. And then estrogen and progesterone, they affect hair growth. For women during pregnancy, the estrogen levels rise, so we all get a good head of hair during the pregnancy. But after birth, these hormone levels fall. And that's when this impacts the hair growth. I know I got a bit of a bald patch after my pregnancies, which I was a bit worried about, but it soon grows back with the right nutrition. And also during menopause, the levels of estrogen and progesterone decrease, and that affects the functioning of the hair follicle and disrupts that normal growth cycle. So during these times, it's good to have extra nutritional support so that you don't get these hair problems. The thyroid, that has a big effect on hair growth if you're low in thyroid hormones. It stops the new growth in the first phase, and it also prolongs this whole resting phase. So if you have hair problems caused by low thyroid, your hair looks quite sparse. It's diffuse, it's all over the head, but it's sparse. So what nutrition do we take for these hormones? Well, zinc is a big one for hormones, for DHT to sort out that problem, and also for the estrogen progesterone, always test zinc. And iodine balances the estrogens and the thyroid hormones as well. So we have the forms of iodine that we have. We have iodine in a 5 ml bottle, it's the concentrated iodine. We have a 100 ml bottle of iodides, that's magnesium and potassium iodides. We have sea vegetable, which is the kelp tincture and in a capsule. And we have the new product, bladderwrack capsules. So if people show to thyroid problems, it's a good idea to test all those iodine products. Also, Chris has talked about selenium and manganese. They're good for the thyroid. And zinc is good for all the hormonal problems. So we do a smart zinc, which is a combination of 3 zincs, zinc picolinate, zinc citrate, and zinc sulfate, so it suits all the body types. and it's mixed with the celery seed, which is the food substance which contains zinc, and it also contains the enzymes and different components that act with zinc in the natural state, so it makes it much more effective in the body. We do zinc chloride, which is a liquid, and we do the liquid zinc, which is a combination of chloride and sulfate. So there's a great remedy for hormones and lots of other issues that Chris has mentioned earlier today, the black walnut tincture. It balances the male and female hormones, and it balances the thyroid hormones. And Chris mentioned, and we know it contains iodine, but recently Chris has mentioned that it's since been discovered it contains selenium and manganese as well, so it's a great thyroid remedy. It also fights parasites, and it detoxifies metals and chemicals, so a great all-round remedy. So in about mid-September this year, Chris and I went to pick the current harvest of walnuts, and for the new batch of black walnuts. And here's Chris with his treasure of walnuts, and he's having the sniff of one there because they do smell so beautiful. It's a wonderful aroma. And there's me doing all the work. Because we pick them off the tree, they haven't fallen, they're the green walnuts with the husk still intact, and they're on the tree. Yes, so nutrition for hormones, suggested nutrition for hormones. Well, vitamins and coenzymes, if you look at we probably all remember the hormone chart, which has all the pathways for different hormones. We need to look at that to find out which vitamins and coenzymes to use. Niacin. Okay, so niacin breaks down, works in the first path of hydroxylation, so it breaks down those hormone derivatives. And niacin also minimizes cholesterol, and if you get a build-up of cholesterol on the scalp, this increases the enzyme, the 5-alpha reductase, which then leads to further hair loss. So it's a good one to test for hair loss. So toxicity in hair problems, it's the same three culprits: the toxic metals, chemicals, and radiation. What these toxins do is they poison the hair follicle, so you get a reduced hair growth and you get less nourishment to the hair, because the toxins prevent the nutrients getting to the hair follicle. So the remedies we've got for toxins: toxic metals, black walnut's a great one. We've got the coriander, herb and spice, lemon balm, lipoic acid, alpha-lipoic acid, and we now do the smart turmeric that you've seen. Yarrow is a great one for detoxifying, and we now do reduced glutathione. Vitamin C is a good one for detoxifying nickel, and it's also a great general detoxifier for the red body type. So I know if I go away on holiday, I always take smart vitamin C with me, because you never know what you're going to absorb when you're away, and it's a great detoxifier. Chemicals again: black walnut. Black walnut seems to be the remedy of the moment. Got coriander spice. We now do N-acetylcysteine. Lemon balm again, rosemary, turmeric, yarrow, and all of the spices are very detoxifying, so you could test all of them. Similarly, radiation, we've got chlorella for radiation, coriander again, smart C, turmeric, and yarrow. So the Trichological Society, they're very aware now that nutrition is really important to give you a healthy head of hair. They talk about genetics and health as being major factors in having a good head of hair. They emphasise that proper nutrition is vital, because the living part of the hair is in the scalp, so it needs the nutrients from the blood. And interestingly, for each new cycle, the hair follicle is built fresh from all the raw materials in your blood, so you need a good supply of nutrients in the blood. So they talk about the B group vitamins being important, so a good B complex might be good. There's a lot about biotin in relation to hair. This helps prevent dermatitis and scaling of the scalp, so if people have dandruff, this would be a good thing to test. Biotin activates the enzymes to construct the fatty acids in the body, so it helps with lubricating the scalp. And a deficiency of biotin can cause brittle hair and hair loss. Now biotin, we know biotin is made in the gut, so if people show a deficiency of biotin, it's a good idea to check the gut bacteria. So we now have 7 probiotics and a combined probiotic. Oh, biotin is also good. Biotin breaks down ammonia in the urea cycle. So you need to you need to break down ammonia if it's high because it's very damaging to the brain and to the kidneys. And this was a Harvard University study that suggested that biotin is one of the most important nutrients for preserving hair strength and texture. So nutrition for hair, essential fatty acids are really important. B12 and iron prevent a dry scalp. You need vitamins A and C to help with the production of that sebum to lubricate the hair as a natural hair conditioner. Alpha-lipoic acid conditions the hair, presumably by detoxifying. And zinc is great for preventing hair shedding because of all the hormonal support it gives you. B5 is often mentioned in relation to hair. A lot of shampoos have B5 in it, or provitamin B5, and our shampoo has that in too. This gives hair flexibility, strength and shine, and it also helps prevent hair loss. B6 is good for preventing dandruff because that helps with the hormones as well. And you need B12, and B1, B2, B3 and B5. So a great B complex would be good for hair. Folic acid is important to the hair follicle, for cell division and for growth of the hair follicle. So the folic acid that we have the straight folic acid, and then we have the folic acid and zinc, which some people can use to activate the folic acid to produce the coenzymes themselves. And if not, we have the folinic acid capsules, methylene tetrahydrofolate, 5-methyl tetrahydrofolate, and H4-biopterin. So it's worth testing all those different types of folic acid if you think that's involved in hair problems. Vitamin C is good. It helps to produce healthy collagen. That's the connective tissue type in the hair follicle. And it also has strong antioxidant capability, so it protects the cells in the hair follicles and the nearby blood vessels. So vitamin C, when you use vitamin C, you really need to use the whole complex, not just the ascorbic acid, because vitamin C is more than ascorbic acid. It also, the complex contains the tyrosinase enzyme, and this is rich in Shiitaki and Reishi mushrooms, in beetroot and in potato juice. And also vitamin P is in the natural vitamin C complex. This is a permeability factor, and this comes from rutin. Rutin comes from buckwheat, and also the citrus bioflavonoids contain vitamin P. So zinc is a great mineral for hair, but also consider magnesium, iron, sulfur and silica. Essential fatty acids are great for the hair because they have an important role in the cell structure, in the integrity of the cell membrane. So they're really good for people with a dry, scaly scalp, and it supports the hair follicle. So hair is composed of a protein, notably keratin. Now, keratins have large amounts of the sulfur-containing amino acid cysteine. And the sulfur part of the amino acid is required for the disulfide bridges, which give the keratin its strength and rigidity. So human hair is approximately 14% cysteine, and this accounts for the smell you get when you get burning hair, which hopefully you don't get, but it does smell quite pungent. So the difference between the keratin in the nails and in the hair is the one in the nails has more disulfide bridges, which give it more strength and make it appear much harder. So to produce keratin, we need a good supply of amino acids. So we need a diet high in good quality proteins, sort of meat, fish, beans and eggs. And we can also get additional keratin from hair products. So the amino acids, methionine is a sulfur-containing amino acid, and this supports the hair strength by providing sulfur to the hair cells. And cysteine does the same thing, provides the sulfur. So what you need is some good hair care products to maintain a healthy head of hair. You don't want anything with any toxins in. As Chris was saying, toxins are hormone disruptors, and we did quite a bit of testing a couple of years ago to illustrate how toiletries can really disrupt basically all your hormonal glands. And it's quite ironical, really, that you can be putting something on your head to give you a good head of hair, and the very substance you're putting on is poisoning your hormones, which makes a good head of hair. So it's kind of a cyclical process. So keratin, we put keratin into our shampoo. We use a plant source of keratin. We don't use animal keratin. A lot of high street brands and salon brands use animal keratin, and this is a byproduct of slaughterhouses generally, things like pig's hair. So you wouldn't want to put that on your head. So the plant source keratin, it enhances the moisture binding ability of the hair by building up the amino acids, and it gives strength, shine and bounce to the hair. So the oils we put into our hair care products, we use the Wonder Oil. These are all organic, of course. We use the Wonder Oil, which is a good balance of omega-3, 6 and 9. And sesame oil is part of the Wonder Oil, and this is a half fatty to half dry fat, so it doesn't make your hair really heavy. In our conditioner, we put olive oil. Now, olive oil contains squalene, which helps to regulate the sebum, and it very closely resembles human sebum, so it's great for conditioning the hair. And hazelnut similarly contains squalene, and that's also a dry oil, so you won't get the build-up of heavy oils on the hair. We also put in D-panthenol, which is the pro-vitamin B5, and this coats, lubricates and protects the hair. So nails, I say, are similar to hair. They're made of keratin, and they come from below the skin, what you see on the outside. The conditions that you get for nails are brittle nails, splitting nails, discoloured nails, ridges, white spots, or the hangnails, which is a bit of skin that sticks out between the nail and the finger. And they can be quite sore, and they can get infected as well. So the structure of the nails, it's made of the tough protective keratin, as I mentioned earlier, and the nail consists of the nail plate, which is what you see, and underneath you have the nail matrix and the nail bed. So the nail matrix contains the nerves, the lymph and the blood vessels which feed the nail plate. So as the new nail plate cells are made, they push the older ones forward, and the older cells become pressed and they become flat and translucent. So you see the capillaries. What you see for the pink colour of the nails is the capillaries coming through the nail plate. And the small moon is the visible part of the nail matrix. So the nail bed is made of two types of tissue, the dermis and the epidermis, and they're attached by grooves, and that's what you can see. If you look at a nail and you can see the grooves, you can see this is the attachment of the dermis to the epidermis. You often see that in old age as the nails get thinner. So again, hypothyroid is a problem for nails as well as hair. You can get dry, brittle and splitting nails. With a low thyroid function, the circulation to the extremities is impaired, so you don't get the nutrients being carried to the extremities. And also the nails can become very pale. You lose that pink colour. So the parathyroid gland, that regulates the calcium and vitamin D, so all that Chris has been saying. That's important for nails as well. Estrogen, you can get dry, brittle nails with a lack of estrogen, because healthy nails need to be hydrated. And estrogens are responsible for keeping the fluid level in body tissues. So if you have low estrogen, you can get dry nails. And also dehydration can cause nails to be very dull and yellow looking, which is often the case in elderly people. And also a symptom of osteoporosis can be brittle fingernails. A clinical trial looked at this, comparing the nail structure with bone integrity. And this was done on a series of women undergoing a course of chemotherapy. So it's basically saying there's a correlation between brittle bones and brittle nails. And that was the particular study in question. So protein is the building material for new nails. Reduced hemoglobin in the blood results in whiter nail beds. We talked a lot about hemoglobin in the Phonocardiography 3 seminar, where we looked at the role of coenzymes in producing hemoglobin. So deficiencies in folic acid and vitamin C produce hangnails or split nails. And that's what I find personally. I am susceptible to those hangnails, the bits of skin sticking out. And if I see that, I know to get back onto my folic acid. Essential fatty acids are important. You can get splitting due to lack of the linoleic acid. Iron deficiency leads to a pale colour. And the white spots on nails, that's zinc deficiency. Fat-soluble vitamins play a part in a good set of nails. You need vitamin A because the body can't absorb proteins effectively without enough vitamin A. Vitamin D, you can't assimilate the calcium properly, as Chris has explained. And vitamin D is now believed to be involved in the functioning of the cells which produce keratin. So that's a summary of nutrition for nails that you might want to refer to. And this is the different conditions and the supplements that you could look at. So we now do a hand and nail cream. This is a cream, not a lotion. It's a rich, hydrating cream, and it's very protective as well of the skin on the hands and nails. It's in a lovely cream base. The cream base is coconut butter, cocoa butter, shea butter, and the Wonder Oil. So a good mix of saturated and unsaturated fats. We've added active ingredients to this cream. We've added urea, which is the body's natural moisturizer. It maintains the fluid levels of the body. And urea is in urine, but we get a form that's synthesized from ammonia and carbon dioxide as it would be in the body. Although nails seem quite hard, they are really quite permeable, so that's probably bad news for nail polish. But things like urea will also go through the nail plate into the nail bed and the nail matrix, so that will condition all those tissues. We add in folic acid and zinc, which is used for the regeneration of cells, and also sodium phosphate, which brings energy to the cells, and it supplies the phosphate in the mitochondria to synthesize ATP. Also, we do a good hand wash, which is obviously non-toxic, and if you think how many times a day you wash your hands with a hand wash, all the toxins are going straight through the skin and straight through the nails. So what you need is a good hand cream. So this one's very good, and it's in a big pot, 100 ml pot. So it'll last a long time. You only need a small amount because it's quite rich, and it's good for the hands and the nails. So, I've talked about hair and nails now. It's just to give you a rough idea of what conditions cause a bad hair and bad nails, and what supplements you can look at. What we really aim to do is to try and find individually which product your patient needs. So you can either use the meridian you're testing or the alarm point or a particular muscle to test the nutrients we've suggested for hair. And we've been testing hair, we've been doing different tests for hair. We've been putting hair in the mouth, and that weakens, and you can see what nutrients people need. Biotin shows up quite a lot doing that. And keratin as well. We have a test vial for keratin, so you can test if people are deficient in keratin. I found that a few vegetarians are deficient in keratin, so you can suggest that they improve their intake of proteins. So you need to test their hormone levels as well. If your hair can't fit into your mouth, then you can, obviously not everyone's hair can, you can put a hair into a little plastic bag and put it on the abdomen. And similarly with nails, you can clip a bit of nail and put that in a bag and put it on the body and test from there. Test from the weakness you get from there. So what we aim to do really is to take you all from, you and your patients, from this state, this traumatized state, to this state of being a happy bunny with your lovely, smooth, lovely hair. So there we go, that was hair and nails. So make every day a good hair day.